There is an urgent and growing public health crisis in America and in Texas, and sadly, it is that more of our neighbors, children, and friends are getting hooked on heroin and dying.
Heroin overdoses in the United States increased by 45% between 2006 and 2010. And that's why tonight we are bringing you a special report on America's addiction to heroin. Now, we want to break down this issue for you piece by piece, starting with the profile of a heroin user. Doctors say it has changed significantly over the years. It's not your typical junkie in the gutter using needles anymore. Instead, heroin users are professionals, moms and dads, and as young as 12 years old. According to the San Antonio Center for Alcohol and Drug Abuse, they admitted 10,000 patients last year for heroin addiction. Of those, 40% were under the age of 20. And experts point fingers at a main culprit: prescription drugs.
When you become addicted to an opiate-based painkiller, like a hydrocodone, for instance, you become dependent on an opiate-like high. Heroin also provides an opiate-like high.
Now, one study found that people who had abused prescription painkillers were 19 times more likely to try heroin.
Now, the heroin epidemic is largely centered up in the northeast part of the country, and both San Antonio Police and the Bexar County Sheriff's Office say it is not an epidemic here in San Antonio, but it is a problem. And as News 4 San Antonio's Melissa Vega explains, its effects are now trickling down to the littlest victims. Melissa?
Well, those victims are babies, but there is help and there is hope. Tonight, we're sharing the story of one mom who was once addicted to heroin and the free outpatient program that she says changed her life.
Hey.
These little moments,
What is it?
Mom Martha Zamora will always cherish.
One.
Bonding with her 10-month-old son, Maximus.
He's my little angel, you know.
A few years ago, Martha's life was very different.
I was out there literally out in the street.
Martha is a former heroin addict. She says she went to a hospital to detox, and that's when she learned she was pregnant with her son.
I didn't even know. So they couldn't help me, so I had to leave.
Desperate to get clean, Martha says she called several facilities.
And couldn't help me because I was pregnant.
Until she found the Center for Healthcare Services Mommy's program. Licensed chemical dependency counselor Alice Santa Cruz says a lot of times moms who are on drugs turn to the Mommy's program when they have no other place to go. They want the help, they just don't know where to start.
We work with them throughout the pregnancy, after delivery of the baby, and even for a year afterwards for recovery support.
The program not only gives moms the treatment they need to get off the drugs, but counseling, parenting classes, life skills, and that emotional support. As for Martha, she's been off of heroin for 2 years.
I'm not going to give up now.
She's taking life day by day, wanting to be the best mom she can to Maximus and her 8-year-old son being raised by her parents. She wants to go back to school and become a counselor. By sharing her story, Martha hopes others who may be in a similar situation will know this.
When all you're thinking about is that one fix, you know, and the next fix after that, you know, just remember that there is help out there.
The Center for Healthcare Services Mommy's program has helped more than 400 moms so far. To be eligible for the program, a woman must be at least 18 years old, pregnant or parenting, and have a drug dependency. For more information on the program, you can call 246-1300. We will also have this information on our website, news4sa.com. Melissa Vega, News 4 San Antonio.
So what makes heroin so addictive in the first place? There's nothing romantic about it, but the fact is, experts say once heroin enters the body, the brain falls in love with it.
It essentially attacks the pleasure center in the brain in such a powerful way that it overwhelms the individual. It essentially kind of takes the brain hostage.
Ed Hughes says opiate addiction has soared at his Ohio area rehab center. 10 years ago, less than 5% of its clients were opiate addicts. And today, 85% are, and his youngest patients are barely teenagers. The father of an addict says medicine cabinets are like gun cabinets. They need to be locked up too. Now, correspondent Chris Van Oker reveals the difficult path that led to his message.
In July 2011, Tyler Campbell leaves rehab and heads home. He tells his dad he wants to be a counselor so he can help other young people in trouble. Just hours later, Tyler dies from a heroin overdose.
My wife and 2 younger sons found him the next morning and called 911 to try to get help.
But what causes the smart, handsome 23-year-old to die by his own hand right in his own home? The problems start a few years before when Tyler is injured playing football. His addiction starts with pain pills, but it does not end with them.
That really scared us because now we were dealing with something totally different. It went from prescription pills to heroin.
And once on heroin, it's a deadly struggle to get off.
And the one thing we will see for addicted people is that once they cross a boundary of addiction, they can't get back.
Our story about Tyler Campbell ends with a father's warning. If you want to stay off heroin, then stay away from pills.
We need to know more as parents. We have to understand how addictive that is. We have to understand that our medicine cabinets are like gun cabinets. They're no different.
Reporting with yet another link between heroin and prescription painkillers. Addiction specialists say teens often move from pills to heroin because it's $50 to $60 cheaper.
When EMS crews now answer calls for an unresponsive person, they come with a life-saving drug now that can reverse the effects of an overdose, and that drug is called naloxone, or a Narcan kit. It is a synthetic narcotic. It can be used as a nasal spray to block the opiate use or effects, opiates such as heroin and other painkillers.
You can actually see the effects take effect and the patients start to breathe better and begin to wake up from the effects of the narcotic overdose.
And the kits now cost less than $20. Plus, if Narcan is given to a patient who doesn't need it, they say it won't have any adverse effects on them.
Well, with the rise of heroin overdoses, the Food and Drug Administration recently approved a device that delivers the same drug, only is for friends and family of addicts to keep on hand just in case. The device is called Evzio. It is a pre-filled syringe that kind of works like an EpiPen. First responders advise family or friends who use the antidote on someone to still contact 911. The kit comes with 2 treatments and costs about $60. They are good for 2 years.
Now, a sad reality of this highly addictive drug is that it's causing more and more parents to face a very tough decision, to choose heroin or choose their children. Bexar County does provide a special program for families battling addiction. And still ahead, meet a mom and dad who are just reunited with their 7 children and hear about the program that made that reunion possible. Welcome back to our special report on heroin addiction in America. Now, some of the youngest victims of heroin aren't getting high from it as they're not actually using it, but the drug is still making them homeless.
A life of drugs caused a San Antonio couple to temporarily lose all 7 of their kids. It was only temporary, though, because of the Bexar County's Family Drug Treatment Court. News 4 San Antonio's Josanna Quintanilla shows us how it's bringing families back together.
The young couple was expecting their 7th child when their other 6 were taken away. That's when they began fighting their heroin addiction with the help of the Family Drug Court in order to get their children back. It was a tough road and the reason they named their last baby Journey. Here's their story. When you see the way James Pantoja and Kimberly Reyes love and admire their 7 children, you would never imagine they were in danger of losing all of them. CPS removed the children from their home last year because the couple was addicted to heroin.
It's a lifestyle that you live in, especially if you do it so long. It's like that's the only thing you know. The kids have nothing to do with it, you know what I mean? It's not their fault.
The couple accepted all the help and support from Bexar County's Family Drug Treatment Court just to get them back.
We wanted it so bad, we were just like, man, we were doing everything we had to do. And not just because we had to do it, but because it's something we wanted and we felt it was going to help us out.
After nearly a year, James and Kimberly were reunited with their children after graduating from the court program.
Anybody can change and that it's possible, and if you really want it, it's there.
Julie Thornton supported the couple on the road to recovery as their drug court monitor.
Judge Sakai's vision and mission is to make this a transformative experience for life, not just for the duration of their CPS case.
For James and Kimberly, it's a second chance at life and loving their children.
For my kids, that they went through too much, we put them through a lot, you know. and now it's time to give it back to them. I think it's also just like the beginning of our journey.
Josanna Quintanilla, News 4 San Antonio.
44 children were reunited with their parents after they graduated from the Family Drug Treatment Court last Friday. And like James and Kimberly, all of the parents went through an intense program which included parenting classes, psych evaluations, and weekly monitoring.
Parents of heroin addicts say looking back there were clues, yet at the same time they had no clue at the time. Spoons went missing from the kitchen, or the tinfoil kept running low, and it is easy to dismiss that kind of thing, but some of the signs are more obvious and things that you should watch out for as well. Individuals abusing heroin are often hyperactive, then followed by very fatigued. They are disoriented or have a constant runny nose. Friends and family are also advised to be concerned by weight loss or someone constantly wearing long shirts and pants, as they could be trying to cover their track marks from syringes.
The San Antonio Council on Alcohol and Drugs says that on average it takes a heroin addict 8 years to actually seek help. There are plenty of resources out there, both for addicts and their loved ones who don't know where else to turn.
A group called SOBA Texas Recovery Center wants you to know that there is hope, there is help, and we sat down with their Director of Operations and Clinical Operations Director to find out more about if there's a way to convince an addict to get help and what families can do.
You can't convince somebody to say, hey, let's go now, no problem. Let me put down my drugs, let me put down what I'm addicted to. But what you can do is, there's people who take these phone calls all day long. There's specialists who have dealt with this so many times that they've learned how to ask the correct questions.
We can also help the family members do a planned intervention. There is help for family, because it does. Addiction does it's a destroyer.
SOBA has a hotline number that you can call 24 hours a day if you or someone you know needs help. That number is 1-866-547-6451, right there on your screen, 1-866-547-6451. You can also find more information on their website, sobatexas.com. And we'll be right back.
Here are some numbers you may want to write down if you or someone you know has a drug issue, especially with heroin.
Well, thank you for joining us with this important News 4 special report. Have a good night.